very pleased to be interviewing Hanna Gryncwajg, who's Senior Vice President, Advertising Sales for RLTV. Thank you so much for your time today, Hanna.
Thank you, Charlene. I'm thrilled to be doing it.
Well, let's start with your background. How did you get to where you are today?
Well, wow. You probably need more than 2 minutes for that. My career really spans probably close to 30 years in television, starting in local sales and quickly moving into national broadcast. I've worked at probably all of the top big media companies, from Fox to Turner. Bravo Networks I spent many years with and actually helped launch that network to an ad-supported format. Probably over the past 5 years I've moved into the digital world because from a personal standpoint I really wanted to understand that medium and how it relates to the overall picture. But more recently I've really longed to be back in television, and I'm thrilled very recently to have joined RLTV at a time when it is going through an evolution and some very exciting times.
You were at Bravo in the early days, and I believe even before we received Nielsen data.
Yes.
And we were in the process of going to Nielsen. You've worked for networks that use the current currency, and you've worked for networks that did not use the current currency. Obviously more challenging not to use the current currency, but could you describe perhaps some advantages of being able to look at data in a different way?
Sure, absolutely. Of course, we all need to measure ourselves in a consistent way so that from the advertiser's perspective, from the media company's perspective, we're talking apples to apples when we negotiate. However, I really believe that the medium is moving to more than just looking at sheer numbers when understanding consumers. Advertisers are grappling with ways to understand what motivates people to purchase their product, because ultimately it's not about how high the rating is, but how many people are engaged and then motivated to buy that product. So I think when you do not have the tools, the Nielsen tools to measure, you look for other ways to really understand who your audience is and how they behave. And in spending time at a variety of smaller digital companies as well as smaller non-traditional cable companies, we were able to establish metrics around consumer behavior, understanding seasonally who is in or not in a particular market, what type of products they utilize. And from a psychographic basis, it's interesting because what we've learned in that is that it's not about age. It's about behavior that actually gets consumers to react in a certain way towards brands.
So you've been involved in sales at cable networks, at broadcast networks, local, national, small digital networks. How would you say the role of sales has evolved?
Well, it certainly has evolved for sure. I think sales has evolved in a couple of different ways. One, in that sales executives can no longer just be salespeople selling 30-second, 60-second commercials. They truly have become sales and marketing executives, because advertisers have demanded the alignment of what their brand messaging is along with the network, particularly and especially in cable. So the better sales executives are ones that do think out of the box, are creative, and can work with their marketing and programming departments to bring to advertisers solutions rather than a media schedule. Secondly, I think they've evolved because everyone is selling multi-platform. You are no longer just selling television or selling online. Even online companies are now positioning their video as television, if you will. So you really have to be a jack of all trades to be a successful sales department and sales executive, being able to understand digital, being able to understand digital out of home, and certainly, of course, then traditional television. And when I work with sales executives, those are sort of the talents and the attributes that I look for in a good sales executive.